Hello and welcome to third episode of this podcast. Uh, today, today I plan to talk about a little bit more about business requirements, about gathering business requirements, because I think it's crucial for every IT project. But on the other hand, I know you can't wait when we will start programming, so I will skip this part for a moment because business requirements and working with the business departments in gathering requirements and and having a consultation with them. This is the topic that will come up, I think, more than once in the during this podcast. So I will skip it for now. And yes, today we will program. So let's do it. Okay, before we will start coding, I have to say a few words about my development environment. And for those who already starts the adventure with programming, I think you should treat it as a recommendation because if you want to omit the problems that I am pretty sure that will occur while we will work on our application, you should have as close environment as mine. A few years ago, I was a typical Windows user without any knowledge about other operating systems. And when I started programming, I quickly realized that wasn't a best choice for the programmers. First, it generates a lot of problem with programming, with configuring the development environment. And the second reason, I think the more important one, was that any solutions, any posts in Stack Overflow or in the globally in the internet was referred to the Linux operating systems mostly. So I decided to switch to Linux, but on the other hand, I was a bit afraid of this operating system, and that's why during this transition period, before I completely moved to Linux for my daily work, I used two operating systems installed on one computer. So, if you are facing a similar dilemma, I recommend you to install Linux on your computer in parallel with Windows, so you can enjoy the benefits of both operating systems. And don't worry, installing Linux alongside Windows is easy and doesn't require much technical knowledge. Okay, how to install two operating systems on one computer? I think the easiest way is to install one operating system on one hard drive and the second operating system on the second one. And at startup, choose which drive to boot from. That's, I think, the easiest way, and that's how I have set it up on my computer. But if you don't have two hard drives, or just simply don't want to dedicate one hard drive to separate operating system, you can use, I think, equally simple solution and download an image of Linux. I use Ubuntu to be exact. And then using the program Rufus, you can create a bootable flash drive with the downloaded system. A good video, I have found a good video with instructions step by step how to install Ubuntu on Windows. And you can find the link to this video in the comments to this podcast. So, if you don't have Ubuntu yet, I strongly recommend you to install Ubuntu alongside Windows. And don't worry, it's easy, and you will quickly see that Linux is not as scared as the people say. Okay, I believe you have successfully installed Linux, and now you can enjoy this fantastic operating system. But remember, that was only the recommendation. So if you stayed with Windows or you are using Mac with iOS, that's okay. Now we have to install some software which we will use to program and to code. So in short, the whole tools and the whole software you use while programming, it calls IDE, and it stands for Integrated Development Environment. I believe that you have met already this acronym IDE, and now we will start to build it on our system. Installing a new software on Ubuntu is an absolutely easy thing to do. And it always starts with the internet browser and the phrase, how to install something on Ubuntu. That's what we will do now. Okay, let's pause here for a while, and I have to make a small side note. That's what you see. This is my operating system, and probably your looks a little bit different, especially if you have a fresh installation of Ubuntu. For example, this sidebar on the left, you probably have on the top or on the bottom. I don't remember how it is on the fresh installation. But I think you will manage it, and that won't be a problem because it's very similar to Windows operating system. So if you click with right button on your mouse on the desktop, you will have the similar menus like on Windows, and you can set up your system just like you want. As I mentioned before, let's open the internet browser and type Ubuntu install Visual Studio Code. We have found the results. Let's choose the second one, and as you can see, okay, let's enlarge it a little bit. As you can see, we have the instruction code to install the Visual Studio Code. Now, what to do with this? In most cases, you will find this kind of instructions to install a new software on Ubuntu, and that's the way how you do it in Linux. The Windows users may be confused a little bit now, because the way you install the new software on Windows is usually you download the executable file or search in the Windows Store and install it. Here we are using the command line, and we use these instructions. So let's do it with our operating system. Let's copy this line to our clipboard and open the command line by pressing Ctrl, Alt, and T. Now you can paste it with Ctrl, Shift, and V, or just type it in this command line console. Okay, let's pause here for a while and make another small digression. I think at the beginning we'll have a lot of digressions, but we have to remember that there are some users who watch it maybe not familiar with Ubuntu and Linux, and they have to feel comfortable. So As you see, we are running this command with sudo. What is sudo? Sudo stands for super user do, and it's do exactly what does it mean. So it runs the commands with super user privileges. Privileges to entire file system and to all super user other settings which are required. And as you see, if you run the command with sudo, you may be prompted with the super user password. Nothing more, nothing less, just type it and hit the enter to run this command. Okay, let's move on and hit the enter. So as you see, I have the information that code is already installed. Okay, that's on my computer because I already have Visual Studio Code. More or less, you will have the similar information at the end that code is already installed. If you want to check it, you can type code -- version and you should have something like this. To run the code, Visual Studio Code, just type code and hit enter. Okay, we have Visual Studio Code up and running. Now we can install these add-ons I mentioned before, and which you can find in the comments to this podcast. Installing the add-ons and extensions in Visual Studio Code is, as always, is super easy. Just press in the left bottom corner the settings and choose the extensions tab. Then in a search extensions field, just type the extension you want to install. Let's assume I will install the MySQL. Okay, I don't need this extension, but for the demo purpose, I will pretend I am installing this extension. If you type MySQL, then you have just to install it by pressing install button. As you see, it's absolutely simple. So I think you can manage it. And remember, install all the extensions I mentioned. If you want to have the same behavior of your Visual Studio Code as mine, what is especially important if you want to program along with me and you want to feel comfortable, unless you are a professional programmer, so you don't have to do it because probably you already have very well prepared your IDE. Okay, so far so good. We have a Visual Studio Code installed on your computer, and it's time to build our Vue.js application and the Django application as a backend. But first, let's start with Vue.js. Go to the website vue.js.org where you can find the video here why Vue.js is the best choice for you and why you should use it. That's obvious, but if you want to watch it, just do it. After this video, go to docs and the quick start section, and here you will find the information what you should have if you want to play with Vue.js. First, you should be familiar with the command line. Well, you are familiar with the command line because you have used it while installing Visual Studio Code. So maybe you are not a pro user, but you are familiar with it. And we need to install Node.js in version 18.3 or higher. So, what is Node.js? In very short, Node.js is the environment which allows you to run JavaScript code outside of the internet browser. As we know, internet browsers have the JavaScript interpreters built in. Node.js is something similar, but you don't have to have internet browser up and running to run this JavaScript code. So we have to install it. How to do it? As always, start with internet browser and type Ubuntu install Node.js. Here choose one of the search results, and you will see here, yes, they are the instructions how to install Node.js on Ubuntu. So you know what to do. Just press Ctrl-Alt-T and run the command line. Now let's do these commands. Let's type sudo apt update, and okay, here I have to pause and make guess what? Yes, another side note. Sudo apt update, this is a very common command you will find in the internet and while you are installing a new software. And what does it do? apt stands for Advanced Package Tool, and this command do exactly what does it mean, what it's written here. It updates all packages that you have installed already on your operating system. And why you should do that? Well, the answer is simple. Due to security reasons, you have to do it maybe not every day, but as often as it's possible, because you want to be secure. Now let's type the second command, sudo apt install Node.js. And okay, we have a prompt with the information about disk space which will be used to install this Node.js. Of course, confirm it, and after a few seconds you will have installed Node.js. What you can check with command node -v. And as you can see, we have Node in version 12. This is not something what we need, because as you remember, we need to have Node.js in version 18.3 as a minimum. So how we can solve it? Sometimes when you work in different projects, you need to have different Node.js versions for each one of them. To easily manage the Node.js versions you are using, I recommend you to use the N package, which is very useful and absolutely simple in use. To install it, just go to the internet browser and type Ubuntu install N. Here you can find the link to npm repository, where you can find the information about this package. Here you will find the instructions on how to install this N package. And as you see, it's absolutely simple. Just run the command npm install -g n. And okay, as you can see, we have the information that something is wrong. Command npm not found, but can be installed with sudo apt install npm. Okay, that's of course my mistake, as I would be a little bit more attentive. As you can see here, there was the information that we should also install the npm, which is Node Package Manager, and it should be installed if you want to install the Node packages. So Just run the command sudo apt install npm and install the npm. Let's go further and install the n package. npm install -gn. And okay, as you see, we have an error. Okay, we like errors, and this one looks a little more danger. It's red. Wow, wow, wow. But don't worry, it's simple. Permission denied. So I believe that we have to run this command with super user permission. And as you know, just add the sudo in front of the command you want to execute. Okay, now everything is okay, and we can switch to Node.js in version 18. Please don't forget to add the sudo, just like I forgot, so please type sudo n18. And as you see, well, okay, we have a Node.js in version 12 still. Why? Let's go back to the package documentation where you will find something. Yes, you will find the information here. If the active node version does not change after install, try opening a new shell in case seeing a state version. So let's just close the command line and open another one. And as you can see, now everything is okay. We have the Node version 18. We can switch with the Node version to, for example, 20, and everything goes okay. So this package after install required to reopen the command line again. Let's go back to Node version 18, just like the Vue.js want, and okay, and it's time to build our Vue.js application. Okay, let's start with the documentation, and as you see, we have the command to execute to build the Vue.js application. So let's go to the folder where you want to store the application files. I chose the tutorials, and then type npm create vue at latest. Now you will have some questions about the application. First, project name, then well, for now you can skip this and answer everywhere you can answer no, and just go through these questions and install the application. After a few seconds, as you see, we will have the application files created, and what is written here to run up the application, you just have to go to this folder, run npm install, which will install the whole packages that application need, and then run dev server with command npm run dev. And voila, we have the Vue application up and running. As you see, we have the development server address here. If you copy it and paste to the internet browser, you will see our web application and our Vue.js application. Hip hip hooray! We can also check if we can change something. Let's start the code, Visual Studio Code, and add some text to this component, main component. And as you see, everything is okay. We have updated the Vue.js application. So the front-end application is ready to use. Okay, and now we'll build our backend application with the Django. As you see, when you type the Django in Google, you will find two interesting things. First, the Django movie and the Django project. We can skip the Django movie for now and leave it for the evening. And now we will focus on our backend application. Okay, let's go now to the Django project, and in get started section you will find the information how to start up the Django application. To install and to create the Django application, it is recommended to install pip. Pip is the same like npm, but pip is for Python packages. So it's recommended to install pip and VNV, what stands for virtual environment. If you will work as a programmer, you will probably work with different projects that require different environments. Different dependencies and libraries and etc. So if you don't want to have a collision between them and you want to work smoothly, you have to separate these environments. And one of the way is to create a virtual environment, which is okay, and for now we can use it. So let's install the virtual environment and pip. As always, we will start with our base command, so ubuntu install pip, and we will find some results that will help us to install it. So, well, I think this is the good time for the first exercise you will do. Please pause the video and install the pip and virtual environment on your own. And if you don't feel you can do it, just try, and then I will show you how I do it on my computer. So I hope you managed it, and don't worry if you didn't. Now let's see how I install the pip and the virtual environment. And as you see, we have the simple commands here which we will use to install pip. Sudo apt install python 3 pip -pip. And the same with virtual environment, where we can find some advice how to install Python virtual env with the command sudo apt install python 3 -vnv. And as you see, everything is okay. So we can use now pip and the virtual environment, and we can install the Django application. Okay, let's go back to our the Django documentation. And as you see, the next step says that we have to create and activate the virtual environment. Creating and activating the virtual environment is simple, and another small side note here, you can meet two main approaches in creating virtual environment. One is to create the virtual environment within the project folder, and the second one is to create a separate folder for the all virtual environments, and then create them in one place. I'm using the second option, and I have created the virtual envs folder with dot at the beginning, and this is the place where I store every virtual environment on my computer, on my projects, if I use it. So after this short side note, let's go back to create our virtual environment. As I said, I am creating virtual environments in one place, in virtual envs folder. You can do it the same, but it's up to you. So let's name the virtual environment folder as a vet app, and just create it by typing python 3 -m vnv, then the folder name. So the last thing we should do, according to the documentation, is to activate the virtual environment. What we do with the command source, then point to the virtual env folder /bin/activate. Now, as you see, we have the virtual environment prefix, and I think everything is okay. We can now install the Django app with the command python-m pip install Django. As you see, everything is looks okay. So let's check if we have the Django installed in this environment, and in what version. And as you see, yes, we have the Django, and it's in version 5. Hooray! But can we use this application and make some requests or see something in the web browser? Well, for now, no, because we have only installed the Django. Now we have to create our server, which will be used to run our Django application. To create the Django application, just go to the folder where you want to create the application files, and type Django -admin start project and the project name. In our case, it would be vetapp backend. Okay, as you see, we have an error in our Django application name, and that's okay. That's a good opportunity to have a side note and explain why we have this kind of an error. Well, in the Django, applications names must comply with Python's module naming rules, because the Django applications are loaded as a Python modules. So this means that you can use only the letters, the digits, and the underscores. And the digits cannot be the first in your application name. So dashes are not allowed. We have to change it to underscore. And as you see, if we change this to underscore, everything is okay. Now our application is created. And finally, we can start our application with the command python manage.py run server. and as you see, okay, we got a warning that we have unapplied migrations. That's okay. We can skip it for now. As you see, our application is up and running. I think under the most known address for every Django programmer. So we can copy it and paste to our web browser. And as you see, yes, it works successfully. Congratulations, blah blah blah. We did it. So, hooray for you! You did absolutely great work today, and I think that's enough for today. And we can make a short summary. Okay, I have to say it one more time. You did absolutely great job today. We have created the Vue application and the Django application, but what is more important, we have set up our programming environment, and I hope you are a little bit more familiar with Linux, Ubuntu, and with command line. Okay, we did the programming job for today. Let's do some project management job as well. As you remember, we have set up our goals, our pros, cons, where we are going to with this podcast. So let's check if we fulfill these assumptions. So the first goal was to create a podcast presenting valuable content on programming in Django and Vue.js, and a bit more broadly on skillful IT project management. Well, I think we fulfill these assumptions. The second goal, the second purpose of this podcast was gathering a community of committed people who will actively participate and respond, thus influencing the podcast itself. Well, I can't say we fulfill this purpose because we have any comment and no one responds for now. But well, the content is very small, so maybe it will change in the future. I'm not worried. And the third goal was to gathering in one place practical programming knowledge, presenting the possibilities of technology stack based on Django and Next 3. And I think it's okay. We fulfill this purpose, and we are start gathering and present in one place how to program in Django and Next 3. Maybe not Next 3 for now, but it will be Next 3. Let's move on to my pros and cons. I wrote that I can program backend and frontend. And okay, nothing has changed here. I still can write backend and frontend. I can write content explaining technology issues. Yes, I think I can, but after this third episode, I can say that writing something interesting is not as easy as I think it would be. We will see how it will be in the future. I have a lot of experience gathered from various IT projects in different positions. Yes, I still have a lot of experience gathered from various IT projects. And the number 4, I can edit a fairly decent training video. Okay, nothing changed here. I can. I think it's is good enough, and I think with every episode it will become better and better. My cons. I am not familiar with YouTube. I'm not a YouTuber. Yes, that's true. I'm still not a YouTuber. Lack of professional video audio recording equipment. Yes, it's still true, but I hope it's good enough and you understand everything I say, and you have no problem with my, especially my voice. My English could be better, more casual. Yes, it could be more casual, but I think, and I see it with my every single movie I record, that it's going better and better. So, uh, the last thing, uh, our goals to this podcast. The first 10 episodes of the podcast. By the end of the year. So, yes, maybe we will do it. But I have to say that I plan to spend 1 or 2 hours per day maximum to create this content. And I have to say that for now it takes me a lot of more time to create this content. I hope it will change in the future, because day by day I know better the software I use, and I hope it will be easier, and I will do it much faster. But honestly, to be honest, I spent more time than this 1 or 2 hours per day, and 100 plus subscribers. This is this is my wish. We will see if we will have this number of subscribers. Since the last episode, we have 1 plus subscriber. Yuppie, 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 yuppie. Thanks for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and you got some useful information for you. See you next time, and then we will talk a little bit more about Docker and the next free application. So, see you soon.